I've always loved to play golf. There's something about the feeling of hitting a great golf shot that I just can't get enough of. Being outside on a beautiful sunny day with three of your closest friends is a great way to spend an afternoon, especially if there's a responsible amount of alcohol involved. I like to think I've gotten pretty good at playing golf, but that's not the reason I enjoy playing it as much as I do. If you've ever played a round of golf, you know that it takes about 3 hours to complete all 18 holes. That's a pretty long time to be playing a sport, or doing anything for that matter, especially in this day and age. Additionally, you're probably only playing golf, or actually hitting the ball for 20 minutes of those 3 hours. That leaves roughly 2 hours and 40 minutes of idle time where you're driving from hole to hole, or talking to your friends, or waiting for other people to hit their shots. It seems like a really fast-paced and enthralling game, right? Sure, it can be a little slow at times. Just try to watch a golf tournament on TV for longer than a few minutes. I bet you'll feel like taking a nap afterwards. I know I can't stay awake unless it's Sunday and Jordan Spieth is about to win the Masters as a 21-year-old. Now that was exciting. What I really like about the game, however, is the 2 hours and 40 minutes that you get to spend with your friends, or with the people that you happen to be playing with. Golf, much like bowling, is what I like to call a social sport. Don't get me wrong, it does require a great deal of skill and athletic ability to be good at golf, but I think you can still have a good time playing it if you're not a particularly good golfer. I don't think you could say the same thing about sports like basketball and football. To really have fun with golf, though, you need to change the way you think about the game. The enemy, in this case, or your opponent, is actually the course, not the person you're playing with or playing against. Sure, it's always nice to beat your friends, or maybe even have a little friendly competition, but it's an even better feeling to beat the course or beat your own personal record. Sometimes it's not even about keeping score, it's about the journey, the battle against Mother Nature and physics. I even use the word battle loosely here because it's not exactly a fight. Mother Nature wins every time. Perfection in golf is essentially unattainable, and once you accept that as a golfer, and as a person, you can really see things from a different perspective. This idea of reframing the way we think about conflict and finding a third side, a common ground, is very much like how we study intercultural conflict and conflict in general today. It's not about winning and losing, it's about finding a third side to the argument of the conflict, or as William Ury puts it, going to the balcony. Finding a common ground, or even uniting against a common enemy, like the golf course, can really bring people together. After all, we're not all that different to begin with, and a shared journey, when two people come together as one to find a mutual agreeable solution, is all about negotiation and reframing the focus. If the two people are competing with each other, rather than competing together against the problem, it can really turn negotiations sour quickly. The same thing applies to golf. If you are trying to beat the other person, rather than the course or your own personal record, it really takes the fun out of the game. There's no witty banter between holes, no casual conversations, and no connections and relationships are being made. It takes the social aspect out of a social sport, and if you're not willing to fill those 2 hours and 40 minutes with something, playing golf is not going to be very fun. I had to learn this lesson the hard way when my grandfather took me golfing for the first time. I am a naturally competitive person, and as a child my competitiveness got a little out of hand. Even a simple game of checkers with my younger sister could take a turn for the worst very quickly. I like to win, and who doesn't? Especially in the American culture today, the urge to win is present all around us. America is often called the most competitive country in the world, so it's almost like we are hardwired from birth to compete with each other. My mother and father are both highly competitive, and since your family is your first culture, I believe I picked up on that from a very early age. As with anything in life, golf takes a ridiculous amount of practice to be even remotely decent. I've been playing golf for over 10 years now, and I still wouldn't say that I'm very good. So, the first time my grandfather took me golfing, I lost to him, and I lost very badly. As you can probably imagine, I didn't take this very well, and began to get more and more frustrated that I wasn't playing well. I was frustrated with my grandfather for taking me golfing when I could have been hanging out at the pool with my friends or at home playing video games. I was frustrated with myself for playing poorly, but most of all, I wasn't having any fun. The golf cart was silent as my grandfather and I drove from hole to hole. This was not the grandfather and grandson bonding time that it was intended to be. It was a battle, a conflict between myself and my grandfather that I was determined to win. It wasn't until I got much older that I realized what I needed to do. I needed to reframe the conflict. I needed to stop thinking of golf as a battle or a competition against my grandfather, and start thinking of golf as a journey. While driving a golf cart isn't exactly the same as walking on Yuri's Abraham path, it does provide a communication context that is highly conducive for negotiations and agreements. As William Ury says, when two people are physically facing each other, it feels like they are engaging in conflict. It even looks like they are about to battle. But when two people are facing the same direction, it takes the natural confrontation aspect out of the communication and allows people in that conflict to see what's ahead of them, the real problem that they are both faced with. Going to the balcony and seeing the third side of an argument is the first step in the right direction for resolving all types of conflict, not just intercultural conflict. And once I was able to see that, my golf game improved, and I really started to enjoy the social sport of golf that I know and love today. All I had to do was change my worldview.